Hi everyone, Cendril here. Welcome to another day in Stardew Valley. Gonna be clear and sunny all day tomorrow. This is rare. The spirits feel absolutely neutral today. Hey, ever have a bunch of carp laying around and no idea what to do with them? Yeah, me too. Well, I've devised a solution to this all too common problem. I call it Carp Surprise. Quite easy to make, but you'll need a lot of carp. Well, I think we've caught a lot of them. I just may not have, I may have already turned them into sashimi. Let's take a look. We can find it. I like Lucky Lunch. I'd like to be able to make that, that'd be cool. Blueberry tart. Stir fry artichoke dip. I wish these were like in alphabetical order, but that may make it too easy. Oh, there it is. 4 carp. It's bland and oily. Gives 90 energy and 36 health. But it's, well, I mean, I'd rather make 4 sashimi instead of the carp. But if you don't know how to make sashimi, then that's not a bad choice with all the carp that you have. Anyway, today's question is, how about what games interest you that are not video games? That's a very interesting topic because I like to get together with the friends I have in town, and we get together once a week, roughly. Sometimes less, but we do try to. And sorry about that cut there. Somebody didn't turn off Steam notifications. That threw me off a little bit. Oh, yes. I try to get together with my friends, and it's not always we get together once a week. Sometimes it's less, but typically once a week we get together and then we play board games and card games. So I do have interests that are games that are not video games, card games and board games. I guess what I'll do is I'll talk about a few of them that I really like, and I think the ones I'll talk about today aren't very long. Like, I'll try to talk about some of the shorter games we have that I personally really enjoy playing, and that don't take a long time to play. Shorter games. One of them that is probably my favorite is Sushi Go. This is a great game to play if you have younger siblings, or if you're watching this and you're a parent, to play with your kids, nephews, or just to play with your friends like I do. It's just a fun game to play. It's very simple. It's called Sushi Go. You can probably pick it up for less than 20 bucks. It's a card game, and it's basically a drafting card game. So, the little tiny story of it is that you and your friends have gone to a sushi restaurant, and you're trying to basically eat. You're eating sushi. So each card is worth a sushi or other foods like that, and you're eating whatever you take from the hand is what you've eaten. Now, every card is worth a different amount of points. Some of them you have to pair. So, for example, the amount of rounds you have is dependent on the amount of players you have. It's 2 to 5 players. And I don't have the game in front of me, so I'm trying to remember all of this correctly. So if you have, let's say, 4 players, I believe you get 8 cards in your hand. So what you're going to do is you end up... It's a super simple game. You take 1 card, and then you pass the rest. You pass them to your left. There's 3 rounds. Every round is until you... a round is over when you finish taking cards. So, to play a round, I will take a card, and then pass the remaining 7 cards to my left. And everybody else does the same, and then when they're all ready, you've passed the other cards, you flip over the 1 card you took and show what you ate. And that card is worth so many points. So, and every card is worth different amount of points. There's, I don't know, a few handfuls of different types of cards. It's a very simple game. So there are, there's a card called Sashimi. You eat sashimi, you know, like we have. They're worth 10 points if you have 3 of them. If you only have 2 or 1, they're not worth any points. So you have to get 3 of them. If there are 3 in the hands. And if nobody else is also grabbing sashimi. That's where kind of the little bit of strategy in the game comes in. Dumplings, which is another card, are worth more points the more you have. If you only have 1 dumpling, it's worth 1. If you have 2, it's worth 3 points. 3 is worth 6, 4 is worth 10, 5 is worth 15. So if you have, and 15's the most. So if you have a lot of dumplings, you get a lot of points. But if you only have 1, it's not worth that much. So it's kind of, you know, risk-reward thing. Then there's one more example. There's my favorite card, which is pudding. There is a pudding card. It gives you no points until the end of the game. So you keep track of everybody's pudding, because pudding stays with you as the rounds go on. So the way a round works is, like, you take a card pass until you get all the cards. So you get 8 cards. So the last one is just passed to you and you have to take it, obviously. Then, that's 1 round. Then you deal out 8 more cards in our example of playing with 4 people. And then play another round. This time you pass to the right. And then once you have those 8 cards again, you get rid of all the cards except pudding. You keep those with you. And then you get a new 8 cards. You do that 3 times, and at the end you count up the points, and whoever has the most wins. Pudding counts for nothing until the end of the game. At which point, whoever has the most pudding gets 6 points. Whoever has the least amount of pudding loses 6 points because you didn't have enough dessert. Pudding has won me the game a lot. Just because I had the most pudding, got that 6 extra points, and that put me over the top. Yay, pudding! It's in the pictures on it. There's 2 different versions of cards I've seen. One of them I don't like as much. They look not as friendly and smiley to me. The one that I have of Sushi Go, like, the pudding is, you know, super smiling and everything is smiling and happy, and it's just a simple, fun, kind of cheery game, but, you know, there is that competitive side. Whoever gets the most points wins, but just all the smiles on all the food and the way the art done is it's just a really fun, simple game to play. You could get through it in probably less than half an hour once you know what you're doing. The first game may take longer, but to get through a game of Sushi Go, it's pretty short. And it comes in just a little tin container. It says Sushi Go on it. And you could take it with you. You could play it really easy. Very, very fun card game. to play. In that same vein, another one of the card games we play a lot, as me and my friends play a lot, that's good for everybody, is it's called The Great Dalmoody. And you deal out the cards as evenly as you can. You deal out all the cards. And all the cards are numbered from 12 to 1. And they're basically like a hierarchy. So 12s are peasants, 11s are stonemasons, and it goes on and on and on, all the way up to 1, who is the Great Dalmoody. There are an equal number of cards as there is the number of the card. So there are 12 12s, 11 11s, 10 10s, so on and so forth, all the way up to 1. There's 1 1. There are also 2 jesters, which count as 13s when played alone, or are wild cards when played with something else. So you could play 2 1s, 1 and a jester. Make sense? Okay, here's how the Great Dalmoody is played. You randomly choose who's first, and you can read the rulebook. It's a really tiny rulebook if you get the game yourself. And I believe that if you're interested in looking up, it's the Great Dalmoody, Dalumti, I believe, is how it is spelled. Looks fine. Oh, full hearts. Whoever goes first, choose randomly, roll a die, something like that, or choose from the deck before you deal out the cards. And whoever has the lowest number wins, or highest number, however you want to go with that. Whoever has, 9 beats 11, etc., etc. The first player can play any number of cards they want. It's a good idea to get rid of your 12s, and you'll see why. So let's say I have 3 12s in my hand. So I play 3 12s. Now, the next person can play on that, but they have to play the same number of cards, but however you want to look at, higher or lower value. So they could play like 3 11s, or 3 10s, or 3 9s. So let's say they play 3 9s. That's what they have in their hand, they want to get rid of it. You're trying to get rid of all the cards in your hand. Well, the next person has 3 10s, but they can't play that because now it's 9s. But they have 3 7s, so they play 3 7s. And this goes until everybody passes around and it gets back to that person without anybody playing. So, let's say it keeps going and nobody played on the 3 7s. Okay, now that person can go. They can get rid of, whatever they want. This is why it's a good idea to get rid of the 12s, because, hey, you can't play 12s on anything except maybe the 13 if somebody just plays the 13 because. And you play it this way until you get rid of all the cards in your hand. It's a super simple game. You can get through games. You can get through a round of Dalmoody pretty fast. Those are the kind of card games I've really been into lately. These shorter games where you get these shorter card games where you can get through a lot of games very quickly that are a lot of fun. Those are 2 of my favorites. Now, we do play board games as well that do take, longer to play. But I think I'll save that for another episode. I think I'll talk about that next episode. And I'll talk about some board games that we play that I really enjoy. We have a ton of board and card games. I mean, a lot of board and card games. And they're fun to play. They really are. You have friends to get together with, or family get together. People think board games and they just think Monopoly. They think life. They think card games and they think, just like Skip Bo, which is actually a really fun game. Phase 10. They just think of games like that. They just think of the classics. Solitaire. For card games. They just think of games like that with just a regular deck of playing cards. Don't get into that mindset. There are such a wide variety of card and board games these days for all ages. whether you're an older person, you're a younger person, there's a board or card game for you, I promise. There's just a wide variety of different things, different themes, like I talked about too. You know, where you kind of draft cards like that. There's some where you have like a deck and then you play from your deck. There's co-op card games. Down Moody and Sushi Go are more competitive, but they're still very light. Just because you can get through a round really fast, it's like, okay, well, you know, let's play again. It's they're not super competitive to me. You know, you want to win, but they're more light. They're not, you know, super competitive. One more card game I could talk about, which is different. If you're looking for a co-op card game, sadly, I think they stopped making new expansions for it. But it's called Sentinels of the Multiverse. It's even on Steam now. There's a Steam version of the game. So if you have friends but they don't live in town or something like that, you can play Sentinels of the Multiverse. People just get it on Steam. But there is an actual physical card game of it that we have. Sentinels of the Multiverse has you playing a superhero. And you go up against a super villain. And you get a deck, and that deck is your superhero. And there's even just the base set. There's, you know, a couple of villains. There's different heroes, and then there's a bunch of expansions that add more heroes, more places you fight at, which it's its own deck, and more villains, more places, and more heroes. And it's just a lot of fun. It's a pure co-op game. It's you versus the AI, you could say, which is the enemy deck, and the game will tell you how to play it, like when to draw cards for it, any special powers it has, and you and your friends or family play as superheroes, and you choose your superhero. Whichever hero you want to play as comes with its own deck. And the decks don't change, but you would be surprised just how much replayability there is because of the different heroes working together. Sometimes there's different combos of cards that can be played that work really well together. Some don't work very well together, and that increases the challenge. There's an advanced version of the villains to bump up the difficulty. And when you like pick up the expansions, which, yeah, that's quite a bit of money, but we've gotten them over time, just me and my friends. One of them really loves them and, you know, buys a lot of card games and stuff. You pick up the expansions, you have a wide variety of choices. You know, you could fight the same villain 50 times, but 50 different ways. And, you know, it'll feel different every time, just because, oh man, I don't have this kind of cards in my deck that countered him last time, because my hero doesn't play that way. So, if you're looking for a co-op card game that's pretty fun, I think it's a lot of fun. If you're looking for a co-op card game, you like the whole superhero idea, all the superheroes are kind of plays off of real superheroes. There's a, you know, Batman type character, a Superman type character, you know, that are plays off of like real superheroes, but they're their own thing. They even have in the instruction booklet little backstories for the heroes, which is awesome. Like, I loved that. Some of the backstories for those heroes, I think, were cooler than the actual hero that they're based off of. It's really neat. I highly recommend that game if you're looking for a co-op card game to play. And if you're not sure it's for you, you can buy the digital version now, which is on Steam, which does have online multiplayer now as well, I believe. So check that out. It's a card game that me and my friends love to play. And again, if you're looking for something co-op, I highly recommend Sentinels of the Multiverse. You can get a digital version on Steam now. Or go out to your local game store and pick it up. It's a card game. It comes in a box. And they give you some like sliders to keep the cards separated, which is really nice. In the that way you don't get all the decks and cards mixed up. So it's one that I really recommend. But those are just some card games that just 3 card games that me and my friends love to play, and we have so much more. Maybe I'll end up talking some more about card games in the future. There's, like I said, a wide variety. Some that last longer, some that are shorter, like Sushi Go and Great Dalmoody. Sentinels in the Multiverse can last a little bit longer, depending on just how hard the fight is. It can last, an hour, maybe even longer. But it's a lot of fun as well. And like I said, that one's co-op. So my deal is, when you think card game, don't just think of your typical, like, just deck of playing cards. There are so many different card games out there. For all, like I said, for all ages, for all kinds of people, co-op, competitive. There's not that many co-op ones I could think of. But if you're looking for one, Sentinels of the Multiverse is a great choice, in my opinion. I have a lot of fun with it. Still do. Still have a lot of fun with it when we break it out and play. But my point is, there are so many different card games, and board games for that matter, for all kinds of people, for all ages. So next time you're thinking about getting a card game for family or stuff like that, get together with friends, don't just think your typical card game. Go out to a game store, look online, and see some different ones, because there are all kinds. Until tomorrow, I'm Cendril 9. Remember to shoot for the stars, and take care, everyone.